Toothless display versus North Macedonia was Italy's worst result ever. An Italian tragedy unfolded on Thursday night as the Azzurri crashed out World Cup qualifying for the second time in a row in an embarrassing loss to North Macedonia. This is a slow team without ideas or aggression in attack. Winning Euro 2020 last summer flattered us, not even able to overcome European minnows at home in a playoff semi-final. We are used to disappointments, but this defeat surpasses all of them. It is without doubt our worst loss in 112 years of Italian football history. On Thursday night, Roberto Mancini's players looked mediocre. The players went missing for at least 75 minutes of the game and looked frightened and nervous during the final stages. Italy do not look proud to pull on the blue shirt. In truth, we have never had the strength of a top team under Mancini, and the team have now received a rude wake-up call from their Euro 2020 glory. It is now clear just how much the team lack both athletically and technically. Just months after their memorable night at Wembley, a highly acclaimed Italy has been sent crashing back down to earth following a weak and confused performance that showed the Azzurri to be fragile. The stony-faced Mancini could do nothing as he watched on in front of this flat display. Gianluigi Donnarumma was the hero in the final against England, saving Bukayo Saka's crucial penalty in the shootout, but he did not cover himself in glory here. It cannot be a coincidence that Italy conceded in the final seconds of the match from North Macedonia's first meaningful shot. Our team showed poor game management against a team who are ranked 67 in FIFA's national team standings. Now the passionate supporters of this country will be deprived of yet another World Cup, having already seen the unforgettable failure to reach Russia 2018. Niccolò Barella is unrecognizable. Italy's midfield marvel Barella was one of our stars of Euro 2020 and was deservedly at the forefront of the wild celebrations on that famous night in London. But that magical evening has turned into a nightmare for the Inter Milan star, who is going through a turbulent spell. One of the first questions that we supporters in Italy continue to ask is how his performances have taken such a hit this season. Barella has become totally unrecognizable in 2022 after a splendid 2021. Which saw him win the first Scudetto of his career in addition to Euro 2020. The Sardinian-born star appears to be struggling both physically and mentally. Just like the supporters leaving the stadium in Palermo, Barella was like a pedestrian walking around the city. He looks low on fuel, and Sandro Tonali would have offered Mancini more dynamism and clarity in the decisive moments of the game. Mancini looks lost and may have to resign. The former Manchester City and Inter Milan coach was hailed as a wizard after inspiring Italy to European glory last year, but today he must be held accountable as the architect of the team's downfall. The impression of Mancini in Italy is that he gets too emotionally attached to his player, unable to find a right fit for them in his team. This defeat will be very difficult to come back from, and he may even decide to hand in his resignation after this bitter disappointment. The 57-year-old was brought in to restore pride in a team that had been left broken by the reign of Giampiero Ventura, who Mancini now follows in failing to reach a World Cup. He was tasked with rebuilding from the wreckage of the 2018 failure, but now looks overwhelmed and may be forced to give up his post. He continues to make superstitious choices that have led to our slump. The team are enduring an identity crisis, and Mancini has ignored this completely by passing up the chance of integrating new players into his lineup. How was it possible to destroy such an incredible achievement last summer by losing to a team so inferior? The team appear to be stagnant and afraid of taking on new ideas after what was a lucky and unexpected victory against England. He will never admit it, but Mancini was scared to change the spine of his squad and opted to stick by the familiar faces who earned him the trophy last year, but it was the wrong choice that demonstrated his poor recent decisions. Italy's attackers are isolated, and Toothless Italy's attack force of Lorenzo Insigne, Ciro Immobile and Domenico Berardi barely laid a glove on Macedonia, despite having 32 attempts, and struggled to break down the stubborn defense of a team who looked like they were enjoying their trip to Sicily. Mancini sticking with exhausted players cost them on the night, with Insigne in particular looking incredibly isolated up front. The coach has his favorites in the team, which seems pre-picked, and the absence of Mario Balotelli must be questioned too. The controversial forward, now playing at Turkish side Adana Demirspor, might not be Super Mario anymore, but he is still in a great physical condition and has been earning plaudits in Turkey after a superb season that has seen him net 12 times in 27 games. His presence surely could have boosted a toothless attack against North Macedonia. Meanwhile, the decision to send João Pedro on for just a matter of minutes is a crime, given that Italy were sorely lacking a player who could provide a creative impetus and give service to its attackers for 87 minutes. The absence of a single Juventus player from the starting lineup also demonstrates how Italian football has lost the historical core of players who have always led the Azzurri to famous triumphs. The manager, Mancini, is the main culprit for this terrible loss, unable to motivate his players or get them playing with the right levels of aggression.